Crowd of boys, peace. What's good? Come to talk to you boys today about semen retention and the death to your former self. And this death to your former self, it's not talking about a physical death, but a spiritual death, a mental death. Those former thoughts, your former actions, you've put away with through this practice, and you have transmuted energy and transformed your life through this process of semen retention to bring forth a new you, to bring forth new actions, to bring forth new and fresher thoughts, more purer thoughts. First things first is that the physical is only an illusion. In a physical death, your spirit disconnects from your physical body. In this death to yourself through semen retention, this is your physical body reconnecting with your spirit. This is your former spirit basically coming to a death. The spirit that you once moved around with lust, the spirit of having irregular sex habits. Irregular sex habits speaking on, the pornography, the masturbation, the sex without having any meaning or real feeling behind it, just to get yourself off. This is the death to those actions and those thoughts. This is bringing forth, like I said, a new spiritual light in you and a whole different process and a whole different world that you are creating through retaining, through this semen retention practice. We're going to speak on the renewing of your mind. Not just your brain being rewired through this process, but just a whole new thought pattern that comes up when you retain. This leads to a new life, a new path that you may end up going on. And if you're like me, you may start to experience hardships, start to go through certain situations where you feel like, man, just not catching a break on certain things that you want to manifest in your life. But this is the old things breaking off of you and you're being tested in the physical realm, but spiritually you have the patience, you have the mind power to be able to think your way out of these situations with clear and concise and strategic moves that you need to make when any type of stress arises, any type of hardship arises. You're able to just hone in, harness that energy, and be able to think your way out of these situations and move out of these situations more better. I find myself, going through certain situations the past couple months as to why I didn't come to create content. I took a little hiatus. And of course, I was doing some studying in between, to get my mind off of things. Taking notes, creating more taking notes for content creation, but not actually doing the process of content creation. Because creating content takes a while. It's actual work, to make sure that the content that I'm coming with is clear and concise, that I could be fact checked on these things by, whoever subscribe or whoever comes across audios. So that way, we can have dialogue. If you disagree with something, I'm open to have any type of dialogue. But the most important thing is that this process of going through semen retention and gaining and putting out this type of information and this knowledge, it comes with a cost. I can't come to you boys and be living one way and not be truthful and, behind the scenes, not practicing what I preach. And this is the spirit that I chose to move, not not chose to move with, kind of like it got put on me once when I chose this path and started retaining. I was already 3 months, 4 months in before I started content creating, but I just continued down the path to bring on more information and to share with you boys my experiences and give you boys more information as I studied more on what this process was. And this was um, a spiritual awakening for me more so than anything else, that I found myself going down the path of um, the semen retention journey, man. And I think for a lot of people who can speak to it as well, the further that they go on retaining and bettering themselves as a man, that you come to a point where spiritually you just become more enlightened and you awaken and you start to notice a lot more that's going on around you during this journey. Those who believe in sin and doctrine, or influenced by negativity, this is, let me go back and rephrase that. If you believe in the sin doctrine, right? If you're religious and you believe in sin, good and bad, there's also other terms for it. It's the influence of negativity, or negative frequencies or low vibrational acts. That's actual sin. That's the sin that, esoterically, that I believe in. You dig what I'm saying? And when you're on those low vibrational frequencies and you're committing low vibrational acts, that's an indicator that you are spiritually dead. And putting death to that former self, semen retention is the pathway to become spiritually alive, filling yourself back up with your energy. Like I said, getting that clarity, becoming more pure, putting away sex altogether, not just the pornography, but refraining from releasing your energy with females, because the female that you may release with, she may be a low vibrational being and she's just taking your energy away, and you don't want that. So that's why it's key to really be careful who you spend your time with. If you are actively having sex, making sure that you are doing it with somebody that's on your same frequency, or higher. You dig what I'm saying? It's an energy exchange. So if you can pull energy from somebody that's vibrating higher than you, man, go for it. That person will lead you as well. Men, we are natural born leaders. We are put here to lead women through our acts. As men, we are supposed to lead. But if you can find a woman to help you, guide you along your path, you need to stick by her. And that energy transfer is real. Those soul ties are real. So yeah, man, that the semen retention, like I said, man, is a pathway to becoming spiritually alive, and that's putting death to your former self. Before I leave you boys, the last thing I'm going to mention is this death of your former self, or the old man, doesn't technically die, but your renewed self recognizes the energy, what once was, and how to control what once was. Your renewed spirit has taken over. So even though I'm saying, the death to your former self, there's always that animalistic part of you. There's always that lustful part of you, but it has been kind of suppressed so much during your semen retention journey that it kind of dies away. I remember even one of my audios a few months back where a subscriber commented. He said, "I don't even know if my shit still work." Basically, not verbatim what he said, but he was like, "Yeah, I guess pause," but he wasn't getting an erection or whatever, or he wasn't feeling, I guess, the desire, or wanting to or arousal. He wasn't getting that type of stimulation, so he questioned if it was something wrong with him. You know what I mean? If it was, maybe he got erectile dysfunction or something like that, or whatever the case may be. But it was just that his former self has now been so suppressed, it's like you forget about the arousal part. You forget about having the urges. Then you forget about the temptations. You're just set on a path where now you just feel renewed, you feel better about yourself, and that sex is kind of not even on the table for you. It's secondary, it's in the back of your mind. And that's the real death to your former self, not being over sexualized. When it comes to really meeting a person and being attracted to that person, believe me, those feelings will arise. You may feel that lust come back in a way, but you know how to control it. And that's the most important thing that you gain. You can tap into the energy, or you can feel the energy kind of coming, and you're able to control it. And once when we get control over our minds and our overall being, we are able to tap into that energy, being able to express ourselves in certain ways. Like I said, it's very important that you deal with somebody that you are on the same frequency with, where you are able to express how you're feeling. And if it comes down to the deed, you're doing it with somebody that's on the same page as you. So with that, my boys, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Once again, man, drop something in the comments, any comments you got on the audio, any input that you got on this topic, drop it down. Let's have a discussion. And you boys can discuss amongst yourselves also, man. I'm always watching the comments. I'm always, trying my best to respond to you boys. With that said, as always, with love and peace.